Hi everyone, and welcome back to our beginner series for Excel tutorials. Today we're on lesson 3, which is entering data. In lesson 1 we discussed the layout of a workbook stroke worksheet, and in lesson 2 we looked at the active cell, how to select and move around the screen, and how to add, copy and delete worksheets in a workbook. The next thing therefore is how do we actually enter data, because the function of Excel spreadsheet is to manipulate data, and therefore we need data within the worksheet. So as we've already mentioned, we all know what the active cell is. This is the current cell where anything we do we're able to interact with. It's very simple. When you want to start entering data, wherever the active cell is, as soon as you start typing, it will start entering the data. Once you move away from that box with whichever method we mentioned in lesson 2, what you've typed will be entered into that cell. Now, as you can see, this is text and it's been aligned to the left. If we were going to enter a number, Excel aligns it to the right. And if we were going to enter a date, it also aligns it to the right. So those are the 3 most common types of data you might be wanting to enter: alphabetic, numerical and date. So that's entering data. But what about data that you've already entered and you want to amend? Well, that's very simple. You can just double click on it once and start typing again, and it will automatically overwrite. But let's say you wanted to not replace the whole, you just want to edit what was in there. You select the cell that you want to edit, and then you can double click on it, and you will see that the cursor, the text cursor, starts flashing, and then you can move that with the left and right arrow keys to where, and let's say you just wanted to add an extra 0, you could do that. Or let's say you wanted to delete that and put a 5 in there, you would just press backspace or delete, and then you could put a 5 in it. So that's, and then when you click out of the cell, it's now entered. But you can also enter the edit mode of the cell by highlighting the cell you wish to edit and press the F2 key on your keybar. And as you can see, again, the text cursor is flashing, and you can move left and right again with the arrow keys and overwrite, and then press enter or whatever to move, and again you've edited the data in the cell. Or the last way which you could do it is you could go straight up to the formula bar, click on the formula bar and make any change that you want, and again hit enter. So those are the 3 ways of editing the data that you've already entered. Now, before I move on to the next bit, let's just have a look at this line A1 here. You'll see that it says lesson 3, entering data, but you'll notice that it goes across more than one cell because it's longer than the width of that cell. What we can do, just to make it easier to read, is if we go up to the top there between the A and the B, and you can see the little black arrows that appear left and right with the vertical black in the middle. If we double click our left mouse button, it will automatically extend the width of cell A so that the contents of the cell is fully contained within that cell. You can also do it manually when that little left and right arrow appear with the vertical black arrow, you can't hold your mouse down and drag it to the width you want. We may have covered that in lesson 2, but I just thought I'd go recap it here because we're talking about entering data, and this is a common occurrence when you're entering data, is to get the width of your cells correct. So that's how you can automatically get your cells to the right size so that the data that's in it is contained within that cell, making it much easier to read. Now, the other thing that Excel is predominantly known for is calculations. So they're called formulas, and you enter a formula with the equals sign. And a formula, this is a simple formulas in Excel. You can just type in the actual sum that you want Excel to carry out using various operators, and Excel will carry out that sum for you. So for example, 5 plus 3, and when you hit enter, it will give you the answer. And there it is, 8. Now notice that whilst the cell shows the sum of the formula, which is 8, the formula bar shows you the actual content of the cell. So the cell itself is showing the sum or the result of the formula, but when you look up here in the formula bar, you can see the actual formula that has been entered. And again, if you just want to change that formula, you can click into the formula bar and you'll see now it changes to the formula, or you can double click on the cell with the result in, and again it will bring up the formula, or you can press F2 to enter edit again. That's exactly the same as we mentioned before. So what are the main or the most common operators? Well, they are as follows. Equals is the formula operator, as in it will start the formula. Plus is the addition operator. Minus is the minus operator. Asterisk, which you can get from holding shift, and it's the symbol above the number 8, or you can also find it sometimes if your keyboard's got a numeric keypad, it will also be somewhere on there. This is your multiplication operator, and then if you hold shift, above the 9 you've got your open bracket, and above the 0 you've got your closed bracket, and those are for denoting brackets or parentheses. For order of operation. And lastly, and probably I should have put it before, parentheses. You can use that, is divide. So let's have a look at some of those in action. Equals 8 plus 3 equals 11, equals 8, equals 8 minus 3 equals 5, equals 5 times by 3 equals 15, equals 8 divided by 2 equals 4. And here we can have 5. Let's do 5 plus 5 times by 3. And here we can do brackets 5 plus 5 times by 3 equals 30. And here we could do 5 plus 5 divided by 4 equals 6.25. And here we could do brackets 5 plus 5 divided by 4 equals 2.5. That's how you do simple formulas, stroke calculations into Excel. And as you can see, the cells output the results, but the formula bar always shows the actual formula that's in there. So that's simple formulas and the operators. Okay, the next thing to look at, I'll just scroll over a little bit so we make a bit of space, is autofill. So Excel comes with something to help you with your filling data called autofill. So you've entered 1. If you hold your little mouse over here and you get the black crosshairs appear on the bottom right hand corner, once you do that and drag it down, you can see that it will fill all those. Now maybe you don't want it to be all ones. If you do this, let's say you want it to go up by 1. So what autofill is looking for, autofill looks for a pattern. So if you hold your left mouse button down and drag it over both of those, then move it till the little crosshair appears on the bottom right there. You actually, it's just over that the little green square. That's where it turns into. Now it should, there you go. See, it's read the pattern. It knows that it's gone up from 1 from the first cell to the second cell. So now it's going up 1 every time. It also, if you drag it backwards, so if you highlight those again and drag it backwards, you'll see that it will carry the pattern the opposite way. Instead of doing num, it will also do days. So if you do Monday, it will automatically think, yeah, you want to put the days of the week in. And Monday works, and so does month. You don't need to put the next day in, it will assume that that's what you want. And again, if you drag it backwards, and it will work the same for months. So Jan, and drag that, it will go, yeah, I know what you want. Or you could even have Jan 2020, and it knows that that's a date and a year. And as you can see, it will carry on. At the end of the year, it'll start adding on the next year. So that's autofill. That's how that works. It also works across. So if I drag it that way, you can see it's doing the same. So you can do it. It'll work horizontally and vertically, rows or columns. So that's autofill. Now, if you want to enter multiple cells with a value, you can just left click the active cell you want, hold your left click down and highlight the range of cells that you want to add data into all the cells, and release your left mouse button and then type in whatever value you want in the first cell. If the whole cell is highlighted like that, just hold your control and hit enter, and it will fill all that range. And it will do it for any cells that you've got selected. Hold down control, hit enter. There you can see it just fills whatever cells you had highlighted. Deleting data is pretty straightforward. All you do is highlight the cell and hit delete. Simple as that. Likewise, if you want to delete a range of cells, you can highlight the range of cells and hit delete. There's also drop down your shortcut button with your right mouse button, and you can delete there or clear contents, but it's much simpler just to hit your delete button. So that's how to delete data and multiple data. Now let's just scroll down a bit. What about copying and pasting data? Okay, so if you want to copy some data, you just make sure it's the active cell. Then you can do it either by right clicking to get your shortcut bar up and do copy, then highlight the cell that you want to copy it to with the right mouse button and do paste. There it is there. So you can do it that way, or instead of doing it that way, you can do Control C. So you know when it's copying because it's got those little marching ants going round. Go to the cell that you want it to copy it to, make it the active cell, and Control V, and that copies it. What if you want to cut and paste? You don't want to copy it, but you want to cut it and paste it somewhere else. So again, you can hold down your right mouse once it's the active cell, hit your right mouse button to get the shortcut. Go to cut. Again, it gets the marching ants around it. Go to the cell where you want it to put it into. Select it as the active cell with your left mouse button, then right mouse button and paste. And this time you can see it's cut it out of there now and it's pasted it into that. And you can do exactly the same with the shortcut. If it's the active cell, hold down control, this time hit X, go to where you want it to be, hold down control and V to paste. So that's how you can copy and paste or move and paste. You can also do it with a range of cells. So let's just do this. So I could just use my left mouse button to make that the active cell, hold my left mouse button down, drag it so it's all highlighted, and then I could either do right copy, move to where I want and do paste, or I could do again same, Control C and Control V. That also copies it. Or if I just wanted, say, the copy me bits, highlight the copy me bits and do the same either with the right button and then highlight just the top one and do paste, and it will move them all there. Or if you wanted it to paste, it'll do it in the whole section. So that's one way of doing it. Or you could highlight the whole section and see where you got where it turns into the 4 little arrows. If you hold the left mouse button down, you can drag it to a different place. So that, see that? Hold the button, drag it, drag it, hold your left mouse button down, drag it. So that's cut and paste, copy and paste, move data, single cells and a range of cells. And then the last thing I want to cover today is transposing data. So here you can see we've got a little table of data and the columns are 1, 2, 3, 4 and the rows are A, B, C, D. But what if we've decided we actually wanted the columns to be rows and the rows to be columns? So all we would have to do is select the range by holding down and dragging to highlight it all with our left mouse button. Release it, then you can do Control C to copy it. Then you can say where you want the new data to be. So you can highlight just that one cell. Then you can right click and go to Paste Special and do Transpose. And now you can see that our columns are A, B, C and D. And our rows are 1, 2, 3 and 4. And all the data has moved round. So that's transposing data. Now you just saw something there called Paste Special. Paste Special is when you don't want to copy everything exactly as it is entered into a cell. There are many different scenarios for Paste Special. One of them might be, going back to our formula, let's say we've got this here. We've got a formula in there. And we copy it. If we ordinarily copy it and paste it, it's just going to be, as you can see, exactly the same. It's saying 44 and the formula. But we might not want to copy the formula. We might not want to paste it as is. Maybe we don't want the formula. So we could just copy it and then we could Paste Special and pick one of these. So we might want to do values. Now you'll see that that's got the formula in it. Well, this one's no longer got the formula in, it's just the value. So that's what Paste Special is. You could copy it all as is. You can copy just the formulas, you can copy just the values, you can copy the formats, which is something we'll probably discuss in lesson 4. Comments and notes. Again, we can discuss that possibly in the next lesson. And there are, as I say, all these different types. We've discussed transpose already. So that's just Paste Special. I thought I'd add that in last just to let you know it exists and give you a brief overview of what it's for, how you use it. It depends on the situation, what you're copying, why you're copying it, where you're pasting it to. So that's everything in for lesson 3 today. It's in entering data. I think that's covered pretty much all the basics. I hope you found that useful. If you've got any questions, you can leave them in the comments below and I'll try and answer them as soon as I can. And in the meantime, enjoy your journey learning with Excel and I'll see you in lesson 4. Thanks everyone.